My name is Evan Carver. I'm 31 years old, and until last week I thought I knew exactly where my life was headed. I'm a financial analyst in Atlanta, Georgia. I've spent the last 8 years building a reputation for being thorough, calm under pressure, and brutally honest when it comes to numbers. People trust me because I don't cut corners. I don't make promises I can't keep. And I certainly don't tolerate lies. That's why what happened with Paige Whitmore hit me harder than I expected. Paige and I had been together for 2 years. She was 30, blonde, polished in that effortless way that comes from growing up with money. Her father, Richard Whitmore, owns a pharmaceutical distribution company that's been working with my father's logistics firm for nearly a decade. Our relationship wasn't exactly a fairy tale, but it was stable, comfortable, or at least, that's what I told myself. The engagement happened last year in October 2023 during a weekend trip to Savannah. Nothing extravagant. Just the two of us, a nice dinner, and a ring I'd saved up for. She said yes without hesitation. Her father was thrilled. My parents were relieved. Everyone seemed to think it was the perfect match. 2 families, 2 businesses, 1 partnership. But looking back now, I realize I ignored the signs. If you enjoy stories of cold-blooded revenge and gripping plot twists like this video, and subscribe to the channel now. There are brand new, unreleased stories here every day, each one more intense than the last. The first red flag came about 3 months ago in February 2025. Paige started pulling away. She stopped asking about my day, stopped initiating conversations. When I'd reach for her hand, she'd pull back under the guise of being tired or stressed. I chalked it up to wedding planning. She was handling most of the details, and I figured the pressure was getting to her. Then came the bachelorette party. She insisted it would be on Thursday night, May 15th, 2025, 2 days before the wedding scheduled for Saturday, May 17th. A private event at an upscale lounge in Buckhead, members only. High-end cocktails, the kind of place where discretion is part of the service. But what really caught my attention was her insistence on one specific rule. No phones, no cameras, no recordings of any kind. She brought it up at least 3 times in the week leading up to the party. It's just so we can all be present, you know? No distractions, no social media. She said it with a smile, but there was an edge to her voice, a firmness that didn't match the casual tone she was trying to project. I didn't argue. I just nodded and said, "That makes sense." But it didn't make sense. Not really. I've worked in finance long enough to know when someone's trying too hard to control the narrative. When they're overly specific about boundaries, it's usually because they're planning to cross a line they don't want documented. So I made a call. Her name was Jordan. She's a private investigator I'd worked with once before on a corporate fraud case. Mid-40s, sharp, and unbelievably good at blending in. I contacted her on Wednesday afternoon, May 14th, less than 24 hours before the party. I explained the situation. She didn't ask questions. She just said, "I'll handle it." Thursday night, May 15th, while Paige was out with her bridesmaids, I stayed home. I told her I had some last-minute work to finish before the rehearsal dinner the next evening. She kissed me on the cheek and left without a second thought. I didn't sleep that night. Friday morning, May 16th, my phone buzzed at 6:30. It was Jordan. "You're going to want to see this," she said. Her voice was flat, professional. No judgment, just facts. She sent me a compressed file, 3 video clips, 2 audio recordings. I sat at my kitchen table, opened the first video, and felt my stomach drop. There she was, Paige, laughing, leaning into some guy I'd never seen before. Dark hair, fitted shirt, confident smile. They were at the bar, drinks in hand. She touched his arm. He whispered something in her ear. She threw her head back and laughed like she hadn't laughed with me in months. The second video was worse. They were dancing. His hands were on her waist. Hers were around his neck. And then they kissed. Not a quick peck. A full, deliberate kiss that made it clear this wasn't the first time. The third video was time-stamped at 11:47 p.m. Thursday, May 15th. They were leaving the lounge together, getting into a black Audi, and driving 3 blocks to a Marriott hotel. I played the audio next. Honestly, I don't even know why I'm going through with this. Paige said. Her voice was slightly slurred, but the words were clear. Evan's safe, he's stable, but God, he's boring. Another voice, one of her bridesmaids, laughed. So why marry him? Because my dad won't shut up about it, Paige replied. He's been pushing this for over a year. Says it's good for business, Evan's family, the logistics connections, blah, blah, blah. I told him I wasn't interested, but he kept insisting. So here we are. And tonight? Tonight is for me, Paige said. One last night with someone who actually makes me feel something. I closed my laptop. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear. I had less than 12 hours until the rehearsal dinner, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything. I didn't call Paige and scream at her. That's not how I operate. Instead, I made coffee, opened my laptop, and started planning. The rehearsal dinner was scheduled for 7 p.m. at the Capitol Grill in downtown Atlanta. 40 guests, both families, the wedding party, close friends. It was supposed to be an intimate celebration before the big day on Saturday, May 17th. Paige had insisted on keeping it elegant and traditional. Toasts, speeches, the whole production. Perfect. I called the restaurant first, asked to speak with the events manager, a woman named Sandra who'd been coordinating with Paige for weeks. I explained that I wanted to add a special tribute video to the evening, something personal, a surprise for Paige. That's so sweet, Sandra said. We can absolutely accommodate that. We have a projection system in the private dining room. Just send me the file by 3 p.m., and we'll have it ready to go. Perfect, I said. I'll send it over this afternoon. Next, I contacted my best man, Kyle. He's been my friend since college, works in corporate law, calm, rational, and completely trustworthy. I called him at 8:30 a.m. Evan, what's up? He answered. You okay? You sound off. I need you to trust me on something, I said. Can you meet me for lunch? I'll explain everything. We met at a diner near my apartment at noon. I brought my laptop, showed him everything, the videos, the audio. He watched in silence, his jaw tightening with every second. When it was over, he leaned back and exhaled slowly. Jesus Christ. I'm exposing this tonight, I said, at the dinner. I need you there to back me up in case things get ugly. Kyle nodded. What do you need me to do? Just be ready. If her family tries to spin this or make me look like the bad guy, I need someone who knows the truth. Done, he said. But Evan, are you sure about this? You could just cancel quietly. Walk away. I could, I said. But then she gets to control the story. She gets to tell people I couldn't handle the pressure or that I was the problem. No, everyone needs to see exactly who she is. Kyle didn't argue. He just nodded. All right, let's do it. I spent the next 2 hours editing the footage. I'm not a video expert, but I didn't need to be. The content spoke for itself. I spliced together the 3 video clips. Paige at the bar with the guy, the kiss, and them leaving together for the hotel. Then I overlaid the audio recording where she admitted she didn't love me and was only marrying me because her father pressured her. I added timestamps to each clip. Thursday, May 15th, 2025. No confusion, no ambiguity. At 2:45 p.m., I sent the file to Sandra at the Capitol Grill. Subject line, tribute video for tonight. At 3:30, Paige texted me. Hey babe, running some last-minute errands. See you at 7. Love you. I stared at the message for a full minute before typing back. See you tonight. I didn't say love you back. For the first time in 2 years, I couldn't bring myself to lie. By 6 p.m., I was dressed and ready. Navy suit, white shirt, no tie. I wanted to look composed, professional, not like someone about to detonate a bomb in the middle of a dinner party. I arrived at the restaurant at 6:45. Early, but not suspiciously so. Sandra greeted me at the entrance. Mr. Carver, everything's set up. The video will play whenever you're ready. Just give me the signal. Thank you, I said. I appreciate it. The private dining room was beautiful. Long table, white linens, candles, flowers. Paige had good taste, I'd give her that. Guests started arriving. My parents, her parents, bridesmaids, groomsmen, everyone smiling, laughing, congratulating us. Paige walked in at 7 sharp. She looked stunning. Black dress, hair pulled back, diamond earrings I'd given her for her birthday last year. She kissed me on the cheek and whispered, "You look handsome." I smiled. "So do you." We took our seats at the head of the table. Her father, Richard, stood up first to give a toast. He talked about family, tradition, partnership, how proud he was of his daughter, how excited he was to officially welcome me into the Whitmore family. Everyone raised their glasses. I raised mine too. Then it was my turn. I stood up slowly, glass in hand. The room quieted. Paige looked up at me smiling, expecting some sweet speech about love and commitment. "Thank you all for being here tonight," I began. This was supposed to be a celebration, a moment to honor the bond between two families, two people who were supposed to trust each other. I paused. Paige's smile faltered just slightly. "But before we go any further, I think it's important that we're all on the same page, that we're operating with complete honesty and transparency." I turned to Sandra and nodded. She dimmed the lights and pressed play. The screen lit up. There was a moment of confusion. People squinted, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. And then recognition hit. The video showed Paige at the bar, laughing, touching the man's arm, leaning in close. Then the kiss. Long, deliberate, intimate. Then the two of them leaving together, getting into the car, driving to the hotel. The room was dead silent. Then the audio started. Paige's voice crystal clear. "Evan's safe. He's stable. But God, he's boring." Someone gasped. I couldn't tell who. "I don't even know why I'm going through with this. My dad won't shut up about it. Says it's good for business." I looked at Richard. His face had gone white. His wife, Margaret, was staring at the screen, mouth open in shock. "One last night with someone who actually makes me feel something." The video ended. The lights came back on. Everyone turned to look at Paige. She was frozen, her face drained of color. Her hands were trembling on the table. "Evan, she started. "Don't," I said quietly. "Don't insult everyone here by trying to lie your way out of this." Her father stood up. "What the hell is this?" "This," I said, "is the truth. Paige cheated on me on Thursday night, May 15th, at her bachelorette party, and according to her own words, she never loved me. She was marrying me because you pressured her into it." Richard's face flushed red. He looked at Paige. "Is this true?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "It's not what it looks like," she finally said, her voice shaking. This is taken out of context. He's been obsessed, controlling." "Stop," I said. I pulled out my phone and held it up. "I have the full recordings, unedited, time-stamped. If you want to keep lying, I can play them right now." She went silent. Margaret Whitmore stood up, tears streaming down her face. "How could you do this?" she asked Paige. "How could you humiliate us like this?" Paige looked around the table, desperate, but no one was on her side, not her bridesmaids, not her friends, not even her father. I set my glass down on the table. "The wedding is canceled," I said. "Effective immediately. I'll cover the costs of the venue and the catering. I'll handle the cancellations. But I will not marry someone who doesn't respect me, doesn't love me, and was only with me because it was convenient." I turned to Richard. "I have nothing but respect for you and your business. But your daughter made her choices, and now she has to live with them." Richard didn't respond. He just sat down heavily, staring at the table. I looked at Paige one last time. She was crying now, mascara running down her face. "Goodbye, Paige," I said, and then I walked out. I drove home in complete silence. No music, no phone calls, just me and the hum of the engine. When I walked into my apartment, I poured myself 2 fingers of bourbon, sat on the couch, and finally let myself feel it. Not anger, not sadness, just relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for months and could finally exhale. My phone started buzzing around 9 p.m. Text messages, voicemails, most of them from people at the dinner, checking in, offering support. Kyle sent a simple message. "You did the right thing. Call me if you need anything." My mom called at 9:30. "Evan, sweetheart, are you okay?" "I'm fine, Mom," I said. "Really? What you did tonight took courage," she said. Your father and I are proud of you. I hadn't expected to hear that. Thanks, Mom. Do you want us to come over? No, I just need some time alone. She understood. We love you, honey. Love you too. I ignored most of the other messages. But there was one I couldn't ignore. It was from Richard Whitmore, sent at 10:15 p.m. Evan, I owe you an apology. I pushed too hard. I thought I was doing what was best for Paige, but I was wrong. You deserved better. I'm sorry. I read it twice. Then I typed back. I appreciate that, Richard. I hope Paige gets the help she needs. I didn't expect a response, and I didn't get one. Saturday morning, May 17th. I woke up to a different kind of chaos. Social media. Apparently one of the bridesmaids had recorded part of the dinner on her phone. Not the video I played, but the aftermath. Paige crying, people arguing, my calm exit. Someone had posted it online. By morning it had spread across Instagram, X, and TikTok. The comments were brutal. She really thought she could get away with it. This man is a legend. No yelling, no drama, just facts. He handled that with more class than she deserved. Paige tried to control the narrative. She posted a long statement on Instagram around noon, claiming I had been obsessive and controlling throughout our relationship, that I'd hired someone to spy on her, that the video was an invasion of her privacy and a violation of her trust. It didn't work. Within an hour, Kyle posted a response. He didn't tag her, didn't mention her by name. He just posted a simple statement. I've known Evan Carver for over a decade. He is one of the most honest, principled people I've ever met. What happened last night wasn't about control. It was about truth. And the truth always comes out. He included screenshots of text messages between Paige and one of her friends, where she admitted the affair and joked about getting through the wedding so she could finally relax. I don't know how Kyle got those screenshots. I didn't ask, but they ended the debate. Paige deleted her Instagram post within 2 hours. Then she deleted her entire account. By Sunday, May 18th, the story had made its way to local blogs and gossip sites. Atlanta financier cancels wedding after exposing fiancé's affair at rehearsal dinner. The headlines were sensational, but the facts were accurate. Some outlets reached out for comment. I declined every single one. I wasn't interested in fame. I just wanted peace. Monday morning, May 19th, I went back to work. My boss, a man named Greg who'd been with the firm for 20 years, called me into his office. Evan, I heard about what happened, he said. If you need time off, take it, no questions asked. I appreciate that, I said, but I'd rather keep busy. He nodded. Fair enough. But if you change your mind, the door's open. Work was the best distraction. I buried myself in spreadsheets, quarterly reports, client calls. My colleagues were supportive but didn't pry. A few of them congratulated me quietly, in passing. Good for you, man. You handled that well. I thanked them and moved on. By the end of the quarter in June, I started noticing something unexpected. New clients were reaching out, people I'd never worked with before, business owners, executives, even a couple of attorneys. They all said the same thing. I heard about what happened. I respect how you handled it. I'd like to work with someone who operates with that kind of integrity. Within the quarter, I'd signed several new contracts. My revenue was up by 20%. It wasn't because of the scandal. It was because people saw how I dealt with a crisis. Calmly, strategically, without losing control. Paige, on the other hand, wasn't doing so well. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she'd taken a leave of absence from her job at her father's company. Officially, it was for personal reasons. Unofficially, Richard had quietly asked her to step back until the dust settled. The scandal had affected the company's reputation, and he was doing damage control. She moved out of her apartment in Buckhead and went to stay with a friend in Charleston for a few weeks. I didn't reach out. I didn't check on her. I didn't feel the need to twist the knife. She'd done that to herself. By late June 2025, life had returned to a new kind of normal. I'd stopped getting texts about the wedding. The social media buzz had died down. I'd even started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee here and there, casual dinners. Felt good to meet people without the weight of expectations. One evening in early July, I ran into Margaret Whitmore at a charity gala downtown. I almost didn't recognize her at first. She looked older, tired. When our eyes met, she walked over. "Evan," she said quietly, "may I speak with you for a moment?" "Of course," I said. We stepped away from the crowd into a quiet corner near the bar. "I wanted to apologize," she said, "for everything, for what Paige did, for the way Richard pressured her, for not seeing what was happening sooner." "You don't owe me an apology, Margaret," I said. "You didn't do anything wrong." "I should have raised her better," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "I should have taught her the value of honesty, of commitment." "She's an adult," I said gently. "She made her own choices." Margaret nodded, wiping her eyes. "Thank you for being kind. You didn't have to be." "I was never angry at you or Richard," I said. "I was just done with the lies." She smiled sadly. "You're a good man, Evan. I hope you find someone who deserves you." "Thank you," I said. "I hope Paige finds some peace too." Margaret squeezed my hand and walked away. I never saw Paige again. I heard she eventually moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and took a job with a different pharmaceutical company. Far from Atlanta, far from the memories. I hoped, genuinely, that she'd learned something from all of this. As for me, I kept moving forward. I didn't waste time being bitter. I didn't dwell on what could have been. I focused on my work, my friendships, my life. And slowly, the weight I'd been carrying for months started to lift. I'd been betrayed, humiliated, used, but I hadn't let it break me. I'd responded with clarity and precision. I'd exposed the truth, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity, and I'd walked away with my dignity intact. That, I realized, was the real victory. 6 months later, in November 2025, I was having lunch with Kyle at a rooftop restaurant in Midtown. It was a crisp autumn afternoon, the kind of day that makes you forget summer ever existed. We were talking about work, sports, the usual stuff, when he asked the question I'd been expecting for a while. "So, are you over it?" I took a sip of my iced tea and thought about it. "Yeah," I said. "I think I am." "No lingering anger? No regrets?" "None," I said honestly. "I made the right call. If I'd kept quiet, married her anyway, I'd be miserable right now. Probably divorced within a year. This way, I got out clean." Kyle nodded. "You handled it better than most people would have." "I just did what made sense," I said. "I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth out there, and once it was, everything else took care of itself. And that was the key, really. I didn't have to destroy Paige. She destroyed herself. All I did was make sure people saw it happen." By late November, I'd completely rebuilt my social life. I joined a running club, started going to networking events again, even took a weekend trip to Nashville with some friends. I felt lighter, freer, like I'd shed a version of myself that didn't fit anymore. I also started seeing someone. Her name was Lauren. She was a marketing director for a tech startup, smart, funny, genuine. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party in early September, and we'd been taking things slow ever since. Coffee dates, dinners, long conversations that didn't feel forced or transactional. She knew about what happened with Paige. Everyone in Atlanta did to some degree. But she never treated me like I was damaged goods or a cautionary tale. She just treated me like a person. One evening in early August, I ran into Richard Whitmore at a networking event downtown. He looked older than I remembered, more gray in his hair, more lines around his eyes. When our eyes met, he walked over. "Evan," he said quietly, "do you have a moment?" "Of course," I said. We stepped away from the crowd into a quiet corner near the bar. "I wanted to tell you that I've had a lot of time to think about what happened," he said, choosing his words carefully. "About the mistakes I made." "Okay," I said, waiting. "I pushed Paige into something she didn't want," he continued. "I thought I was being practical, strategic, but I was being selfish. I wanted the business connection. I wanted the optics of a strong family alliance, and I didn't stop to ask if she was actually happy. She's an adult. I said. She could have said no. She could have, Richard agreed. But I didn't make it easy for her. I put a lot of pressure on her, and when she finally broke, she did it in the worst possible way. He looked at me directly. I don't expect you to forgive her, or me, but I wanted you to know that I take responsibility for my part in this, and I'm sorry. I nodded slowly. I appreciate that, Richard, I really do. How are you doing? He asked. Honestly, I'm good, I said. Better than I've been in a long time. He smiled faintly. I'm glad to hear that. You deserved better than what my daughter put you through. We talked for another 10 minutes, about business, about life, about the lessons we'd both learned. When we said goodbye, I felt a sense of closure I didn't know I needed. One afternoon in late August, I was reviewing a client portfolio when I got a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me open it. Hi, Evan. It's Paige. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I wanted to reach out. I've been in therapy for the last few months, working on myself, trying to understand why I did what I did. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Truly. You didn't deserve any of that. I hope you're doing well. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond, to tell her I appreciated the apology, to wish her well. But another part of me knew that responding would only reopen a door I'd worked hard to close. So I didn't reply. I just deleted the message and went back to work. Some chapters, once closed, should stay that way. By early September 2025, I also started seeing someone. Her name was Lauren. She was a marketing director for a tech startup. Smart, funny, genuine. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party in early September, and we'd been taking things slow ever since. Coffee dates, dinners, long conversations that didn't feel forced or transactional. She knew about what happened with Paige. Everyone in Atlanta did to some degree, but she never treated me like I was damaged goods or a cautionary tale. She just treated me like a person. One night in mid-September, we were having dinner at a small Italian place in Virginia Highland. Halfway through the meal, she looked at me and said, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure," I said. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't found out about the cheating?" I set down my fork. All the time. "And?" "I would have married her," I said. "And I would have spent years trying to figure out why I felt so empty. Why nothing I did was ever enough. I would have blamed myself." Lauren reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm glad you found out." "Me too," I said. We didn't talk about Paige much after that. There was no need to. She was part of my past, not my present. Looking back now, I don't regret anything I did. Not hiring the investigator, not exposing the truth at the rehearsal dinner, not walking away when I did. I could have handled it differently. I could have confronted Paige privately. I could have canceled the wedding quietly and let everyone assume it was a mutual decision. But that wouldn't have been honest. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that dishonesty always catches up with you. Paige learned that the hard way. And me? I learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is tell the truth and let the consequences unfold naturally. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't lash out. I just presented the facts, walked away with my head up, and let her deal with the fallout. That, to me, is the definition of self-respect. So if you're ever in a situation where someone betrays you, manipulates you, or tries to make you doubt your own reality, remember this. The truth is the most powerful weapon you have. You don't need to scream. You don't need to fight. You just need to expose it and let it do the work for you. Because when the truth comes out, liars have nowhere to hide. And justice eventually always finds a way. If you enjoyed this story, like this video and leave a comment letting me know what you thought. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to get alerts for new stories just like this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.